Welcome to our podcast, When Life Gives You Lemons. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Palmy. We consider ourselves disability advocates and intend to spotlight some disability issues and things we find interesting that we frequently encounter when we're out and about. Also, some history on disability that we find interesting.
On this episode, we're detailing the story of Maria, who has cerebral palsy. Palmy's going to ask her a few questions, and she's going to tell basically her story.
Years, right, Maria? Is that about right? 3 years?
4.
Yeah. We only party together. We don't see each other other than about once a year. We go to a party together at Christmas.
Well, we have been that year recovering. So.
That's right. You're right. It takes a year to recover. You're so funny. So, and Maria, you were born with CP, is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of your background about your family and CP and your little history there?
Yeah. So I was born in 1989. So back in the boondocks of Patton, Missouri. I was actually born at my mother worked as a nurse back before you had to have letters behind your name. And so she worked at a midwife house in Perryville, Missouri. And so I was born at the midwife house. And I was a breech birth. They literally had to, my mother says, rip her apart to get me out. And so I came out not breathing. The midwife done mouth to mouth for 15 minutes, and I took my first breath at 15 minutes old. So they kind of wrapped us up, and because they knew I would need medical attention.
Right.
Well, they called around, and turns out all the EMS personnel is out on I forget now if it was a 5 or 10 car pileup out on 55. So the nearest way to get me to Cardinal Glennon or somewhere else was to call a helicopter
Yeah.
from Columbia
Wow.
to come down and get me from the midwife school.
Wow.
So they meet the helicopter at the school, and mom and dad don't know if they're ever gonna see me alive.
So your mom didn't go with you then?
No, because and we're talking 35 years ago.
Right.
So she had went down to her mother's house, and that's her mother, to recover.
Wow.
And so, at the time, my dad worked for the county in Madison County.
Uh-huh.
So what he would do, he would drive to work from Town, from that's and then on the weekends he would come to see me in Columbia, to bring me my mom's milk.
Wow.
And so I spent the first 3 weeks in Columbia.
That's all you spent? Were you full term?
Yeah.
Oh, you were full term.
Yeah.
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 But you didn't breathe for the first 15 minutes. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. And sorry for the background noise. My cat has found his ball.
So
Yeah.
is that the monster?
Yes. 4 months old. That's like a 2-year-old. But you know. So anyway, so I had started having seizures on the way up to the hospital.
Wow.
And so 3 days old, they call mom and dad, and they're like, you know, she's seizing every 5 minutes. We're running out of options because I had been maxed out on Valium and peanut butter all the time.
Wow.
And so the next option they had was to give me a adult dose of Valium that would do one of two things. One, it would kill me, or two, it would stop the seizures so my body could rest.
Right.
Well, I slept for 36 hours.
Wow.
And did not have a seizure until the age of 3.
Wow.
So when I was born, they also found out that I had no gag reflex. So they immediately took me into surgery to have a G-tube. And that was how I got my nutrients for the first 6 years of my life.
So you had a G.
Yeah. And well, actually, I had the G-tube, but it's like a button that goes directly into your stomach. So
Right.
I didn't have like the nose thing or anything like.
Right.
So I got home. I was on heart monitors.
Got home at what age? What age did they discharge you from the hospital?
3 weeks.
Wow.
3 weeks. And so the first year of my life, I was strictly homebound.
Right.
Because I had heart monitors, I had, different medicines, I had the suction tube, because since I did not have any gag reflex, I really had no way of coughing or, not sucking down my lava.
Right. Yeah.
So, that was the first year I had therapies come in the home. I had a nurse, and so at the time, they were just starting first steps. And so I was actually the first steps child in Southeast Missouri, because at that point you had to either go to sites in St. Louis, Columbia, or Springfield to receive services.
Right. Yeah.
So
For people that don't know, we're kind of in the boondocks here.
we're out in the middle of nowhere.
There you go. Yeah.
And people who may be in Cape or know of Cape Girardeau, 30 years ago you had the main drag, and
Right.
that was it.
It's grown up a lot since then, but it wasn't big back then.
Oh
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so the first 3 years of life I received in home therapy through the hospital, which was at that time Southeast Hospital. And at 3 years of age, I began first steps. And that's when I started receiving therapy at the pediatrics. But what's was to kind of give the example, it's sort of like Mid-American had, but very hands-on. So we went to therapy, we got PTOT and speech therapy, and that's where I got therapy until 6 years of age. My mother would drive me to therapy from Patton, Missouri, which is about a 40-minute drive, one way, every day, Monday through Friday.
Wow.
And yeah, so, and then of course, when I got to school, I done therapy at Perry County Hospital, which back then was called Perry County Memorial Hospital.
So you did that from school, from the school? They transferred you over, or did you do it through the school?
Yeah, so they contracted with the school. So, Mom got paid for her mileage. And then when I got older into middle school and high school, they came to the school to do therapy.
Oh.
So, my entire life was therapy and, trying to better myself, because I did not roll over until 8 months of age.
Right.
I didn't walk until about 5 years of age. I didn't run until about 9. And that's because I taught myself how, because one summer I told Mom, I said, I am going to run, pure high water,
Right. Now, I don't know this. Are you an only child in your family, or do you have brothers and sisters?
So technically I have a half brother.
Okay.
But, and that's a unique relationship as well, because before he got into his pastoring job, he was actually a personal trainer, because he saw me go through what I did.
So he grew up with you in the household then?
Yeah. I mean, we are very close. We have never had to fight. We have only had 2 disagreements, and they weren't really disagreements. We just had different opinions
Yeah.
on the situation.
Right.
So, that is something to say. And so, with having CP and being a person with a disability, it's allowed me to see life in a whole different perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I've actually been asked before if I could go back and take my CP away, would I do it? And I always say no, because I would not be the person I am without the CP.
That's amazing.
And yeah, and people look at me like, what the heck is him? But I would not change a thing.
Yeah. Well, it would be easier. Your life would be easier for sure. But you're right. You may not be the same person you are today.
Well, I know I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And besides that, I wouldn't have the stories I have.
That's right.
And that's the thing.
With all that hard,
Um,
all that stuff, it seems like it would make you hard or angry or stuff like that, and it's just done the opposite. When I've met you, you're just the opposite. You're a ray of sunshine. You're always making whoever's around you very happy, and seems like you enjoy life. But I know that can't always be the same. Have you ever gone through something where it's been very hard on you?
well, and honestly, it's funny you bring that up, because my story don't end when I went to school.
Right.
Our school was a school of 500 kids, K through 12. Actually, my graduating class was 54 people, and we were the biggest class in 10 years.
Wow.
And so I got made fun of, I got picked on, but I hope my own too. Now I had a professional that helped me and went around with me so she could kind of protect me in ways. But,
Kids are mean.
exactly, and she wouldn't with me in 24/7 either.
Right.
She had to go do things and all that. And so, but I also was so known in my school that, yeah, you had the mean kids, but you also had kids older than me that would kind of be my bodyguard in
That's
a way.
great. Yeah.
And there's 4 guys that I still keep in contact with. And if you mess with Maria, you mess with them. and you didn't want to mess with them.
Got your bodyguards, huh?
Exactly. Now, then we get into trouble. Well, of course we did. We were kids.
Right.
But nothing that you see nowadays. It was more like unhooking battery cables in the principal's car and
Innocent stuff.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I went to college.
Yeah, I know you did. You have a famous story about college. You got to tell that story.
Oh yeah.
We talk
So
a lot about the discrimination of being disabled, and so this is a prime example of this story. She's famous for telling this story at our parties.
yeah. Oh
One thing you have to know: we kind of do drink at this party, but Maria does not drink at all because she does take quite a few medications that would interact with this medication, or any medications that she's taking. So you have to know right off the bat that she does not drink. So go ahead, Maria, tell the story.
So it was my sophomore year.
Oh, what'd you go to school for? I didn't ask that.
Well, I went to school for special ed because in my 18-year-old brain that wanted to conquer the world, I wanted to help the kids just like I had been.
Right. Be an example for them to look up to. Yeah,
Wow, Bobby, that was great. I enjoyed hearing Maria's story. Join us again next time so you can hear the rest of Maria's story. I apologize for the numerous audio difficulties in there. We're having a very bad storm here, and I was unable to get a lot of it out during editing. Till next episode, take those lemons and make your own lemonade.